Enterprises, winter maintenance. Today we're going to talk about a little bit front end suspension stuff, what we look for, what we go through, clean all the stuff, check the uppers, lowers, spindles, make sure your jack bolts ain't bad. Just go everything in the front end, make sure you pack your bearings and everything. So we get started. Yeah, so when you're taking stuff apart, I always like to put the slugs back in how it came apart, so when you put it back together, it's right. And then the visually look at your brake line stuff, measure your center link, make sure that's all right. Not measure 24 center to center on the zerk. Now we'll go through the front end stuff. So I got everything laid out here on the bench. I'm gonna go through stuff where we measure and how we clean everything. First off, I check the lower, make sure this point is not rolled up. Basically just put it on the bench and flat. What they measure, that's 5 1/8 right there. This one that we took off the car. We got 5 3/8. It was telling me that this is rolled up. I'm just gonna put the camber in the car and not have the settings on the front end right. So we'll probably get a new lower put on this car. If you have a straight like this one, I take the ball joint out. It's all dirty, clean it. And then I take my bushings out, clean all of them really good with all the grease off it. So when you get new grease, when you pump it, it's all new and not dirty and everything. After that, just check your lower bolts. Make sure they're all nice and good. The threads ain't messed up. Clean them. If you could, just put new bolts in. Then I'll go to my upper, check the heims, make sure they're all good. If you have a cross shaft upper, make sure you take it off and it's not bound up. It's nice and free. Same thing with the lower ball joint. Clean it, put it back together. Biggest thing I see is when you put ball joints back together, a lot of people over tighten these, and they do not. They bind up and they're not free. So, just snug it up where it just barely moves, and I go about a quarter turn, nice and free, a little bit of movement. So then that's in travel, all this is nice and free. Your spindle, 3-piece spindle, make sure your steering arm, there's no gaps in between your center. Make sure all that's straight. And then you check your spindle. So it's all nice and straight there. And you could measure your brake brackets if you want off your rotor. Make sure that's not bent or tweaked. And then check your brake bolts. A lot of brake bolts get a little flat spot from where the rotor hits. Well, you can see that has a little flat spot in it. So this one's probably tweaked a little bit. You can kind of put it on a flat area, just kind of roll it around. Make sure it's not, just visually look at it. So we'll go to jack bolt, spring cup. This jack bolt, this one's straight. Spin it, make sure it's all good. This one is not. As you can see at the end, it's not straight and it's bent about right here. It's very important to do that. And then just look at your spring cup, make sure the snap ring's in here holding the ball. Make sure that's not messed up. Make sure there's no dings or anything. Make sure There's no dents on here, so your spring sits in here. Clean up all that, and then you clean your anti-bearing up for your spring. Grease that up, and once you get all that stuff clean and serviced, everything's all straight, you can put it back on the car.